Welcome to the Money Over 50 podcast, brought to you by Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue from Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. This information is general in nature and does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Therefore, you should consider whether the information is appropriate for you and your personal circumstances. If you require personal advice, please contact Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. Here are your hosts, Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue.
Welcome to Money Over 50. Today's topic, if the ATO doesn't call, you'll know it's me.
Thanks, Dallas. A little bit of a play on words here from a Jimmy Buffett song. Jimmy Buffett, the American who sings about Margaritaville and drinking rum at 10:30 a.m. because it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah.
Those types of things. I'm sure all the listeners have heard some of his songs before. So he has a song called If the Phone Doesn't Ring, You'll Know That It's Me.
Yeah.
And I like that because of
he's got some great titles for his songs.
Some great
you hear
titles.
That title and you go, that's a cracker. You know already.
I've never done this, but I've fantasized about this because we're getting always invited to things from fund managers. And these fund managers are looking just to sell our clients their products.
Yeah. And they go, oh, but come to this thing.
Come to this and come to that. And then when you say you don't want to come, the phone goes silent and they get a bit offended. Sometimes
they go, oh, well, should I call you the week before to check? No, don't do that.
Yeah, they'll call you to check, or they'll say, can you give us a call back? And I've fantasized about saying, when the phone doesn't ring, you'll know that it's me. Yeah. I've never done it, but there is a song about it. So I actually got to thinking that if a good financial advisor does their job correctly, the clients should actually almost be wondering, what are we paying these guys this money for? And what I mean by that, give you an example. So many years ago, a new client came to see me, and they actually had a $125,000 tax bill. Yeah, they were using an existing financial advisor, and the catalyst for them to come to see me was that they had a $125,000 tax bill. Yeah. And this guy didn't know why. Yeah. Now, he's a very, very high income earner. He was a surgeon. And when we started looking through it, he had significant investment funds set up. And he was reinvesting dividends. So he never saw any of the dividends get paid to his bank account and assumed that
he didn't
have to pay tax on them.
Yeah.
And when I looked at the funds, they'd actually gone through a year where they'd made quite a lot of money. They'd made $250,000. Yeah. Now the problem is for him,
so
it was realised capital growth.
Yeah.
They were funds that turned over, and without diving too much in because it's very technical expertise. Yeah. I actually quickly said to him, "Well, if I looked at what we recommend people invest into, we're very tax focused." You would have earned the same $250,000. It's just that it would have been unrealised capital growth. Yeah. So you wouldn't have paid tax on that money. So what I got to thinking was if he'd gone to see a good financial advisor, there would have actually been no problem. Yeah. There would have been no catalyst to come and see me.
Yes. Yeah.
And the saying, no news is good news. Yeah. If you're working with a really good financial advisor, there should almost be no news.
There's no news, especially there's no surprises.
There's no surprises.
No,
and you actually do ponder sometimes and think, what are we paying these guys for?
Yeah. but that's a great point, because I've been thinking exactly the same. I mean, we just talked about this as to if you're really good at what you do and you obviously you have a lot of experience, you solve problems before they come up. And we were just talking about this about why I'm usually right about most things. It's that you look at you can see a problem and go, now if you do it that way, that's going to be a problem in 5 years' time. And a lot of this happens internally. We're not even necessarily communicating. You go, if we do it that way, it's going to be a problem. So we'll do it this other way, so that then there'll be no problem in 5 years' time. And then, like you say, you get 5 years down the road, there's no problem. And so you go, that's kind of the benefit. The benefit of a good financial advisor is that you don't have those surprises, you don't have that problem, and even with the ability to predict with people of, okay, this is the plan, this is what we're going to do, these are the contingency plans for when things do go wrong. This is you have those plans in place, and you're talking about it, and you're communicating that with people, so that when it happens, it's like oh yeah, that's what you've been banging on about for the last 5 years. Okay, that's what we need to do now. Whereas if you didn't do that work, it would be a shock. Like you say, the phone would ring and it'd be a big disaster, and your advisory putting out fires, and you'd be going, geez, they're working hard, they're really sweating, they're doing all these things. You go, they probably shouldn't have put you in that situation where they had to put out the fires.
Yeah, and look, another story that comes to mind is that spoke to a new prospective client just last month, and they contacted us from the podcast, their podcast listeners. Yeah. So started to look at their situation in the first meeting. They're about to sell a property inside a self-managed super fund.
Yep.
And had they signed a contract to sell that property before talking to me, the tax bill for capital gains tax, because there's been significant capital growth, would have been over $100,000. Now, again, without digging too far into the weeds, I looked at it from a technical point of view and I said, okay, well, you're in 15% tax inside your superannuation fund because you've both effectively ceased work and have hit your lower preservation ages. We could put you in 0% tax tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now, so it's quite easy then. I mean, it's front of mind for them because we had that conversation and they didn't have an advisor before that. Had they become a client of ours 5 years ago, to your point, we would have had that discussion 5 years ago, and that would have been a seamless thing that occurred.
Yeah, they wouldn't have had to go
along the way.
You're a genius. You've saved us $100,000 in tax.
Yes,
because you would have already done it 5 years ago.
Because we would have done it 5 years ago. So, things run a lot smoother. I mean, they should run really, really smoothly. If you're getting surprises from the ATO, if you're getting things like that, letters come due and demand for payment and so forth for tax dollars, then certainly it doesn't need to be that way. Like it shouldn't be that way. It should be really, really uneventful.
Well, I think a great example of that is we've talked about so many times in this podcast about in that last 10 years of retirement, you want to build up money inside superannuation as a rule of thumb, because when you retire, you can move it into that tax-free environment. So everything that you do over that last 10 years is geared towards getting all of your money into this tax-free environment so that you never pay another dollar of tax on the earnings, you never pay a dollar of tax on the income you draw out of it. But like you say, that's seamless because you're doing it over 10 years. Whereas if you didn't do that right, and then you got 10 years down the road, and then you went, oh, geez, we've got this problem, we've got all this money that we've got to try and get into super, and let's pull this lever and pull this lever, you'd be running around like a headless chook, and people would probably think, gee, this guy's really working hard, like he's doing a lot, but it's an error in planning 10 years ago.
You're spot on, because people come to see us at that stage, and they've had either poor advisor or they've had no advisor, and we look like absolute geniuses at that point in time. I mean, it's because you're saying, okay, well, usually the catalyst is, I've just entered retirement and I just got a $40,000 tax bill, and you look at it and you say, okay, well, you've got all of your assets in the wrong environment. So what can we do? We can get money in over time over the next, say, 3 or 4 years. We can get in, for a couple, almost $900,000 into superannuation. Commence a 0% super income stream in there. All of a sudden, that tax bill goes from 40 to 30 to 20 to 10 to 0. And we look like absolute geniuses. And to your point, if those people had started with us earlier, there would have never been a $40,000 tax bill at all. It would have been, we've retired, zero. So there's actually there's crickets chirping. Because there's no one making a big loud noise, and that's the way it should be. And it's almost like you should be, if you're working with a good financial advisor, you should be thinking, what are we paying these guys for? And
I think exactly the same thing applies. And I know that the title of the podcast is "If the ATO doesn't call," but the same thing applies with investment returns. For example, it's been shown through many, many, many different studies and all years of research that basically investment activity is inversely correlated with returns. And what that means is the more you do, the more the more you are mucking around with your investment strategy of your super fund, or the more changes that you're making, on average, the worse off your returns will be. And we're seeing that at the moment now as we look at our clients, where a year ago at the bottom of COVID, where between all of last calendar year, our advice was don't do anything. So when things ran up in February and then dropped dramatically 35% from February to March, and then picked back up and then have rebounded up very quickly and then dropped a little bit again, the whole way along there, our advice was just do nothing. This too will pass. Just sit there, be at ease, don't do anything. And it's a hard thing to do. And like you say, it's sometimes hard for people to go, what are these guys doing? They just keep telling me not to do anything. But we know that anything that you do on average is going to put you worse off. If you're trying to get out at the top of the market before that drop, or if you're trying to get out and get back in at the bottom, or if you're trying to pick up a bit of a rebound and then get back out before the famous dead cat bounce and all these sorts of things, all of that activity is taking you further away from what you actually need to be doing. And so the same thing applies there, where our advice around those investment strategies is, I think for clients who have been clients for a lot of years, it's very easy for them to understand that we're going through this thing again, which we've seen before, and we know that their advice has worked, and we've seen the runs on the board. But it must be hard for new clients, where they go, what are we paying these guys for? My balance has dropped by 30%, and they're telling me to do nothing, and then in 6 months' time, when it goes back to the original mark, they're still telling me to do nothing, and then when it grows up beyond that again, they're still telling me to do nothing. And it's that thing of, if the phone doesn't call about your investment strategy, you'll know it's me. That's the best strategy on average for most people, and so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and you can interchange quite a few things. If the age pension doesn't call,
yes,
you'll know it's me. There's quite a few things.
If Centrelink doesn't call, you'll know it's me, because we've restructured everything. Like you said, the same thing. 5 years before retirement, we're looking at structuring everything. That's a great example. I've got a client who's about to retire right now, and for the last 3 years, we've been, again, without digressing too much, we've been taking $100,000 out of his super fund and contributing into her super fund, so that when they reach pension age, which they are now, and fully retire, they can actually access far more age pension than what they could before. But it's sort of not really noticeable, because I talk myself up. So of course I'm going to say to them, hey, look at all this great work that I've done, and this is where we are now. But you're just going to Centrelink, you lodge your application, and Centrelink says, here's your age pension. What you don't see is where that is, the $500 a fortnight that you would have missed out on if we hadn't done that work in the last 3 years. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, look, as a general statement, the less that turns up in the mail, the better. Because it just means that there's been a lot of planning and you have your ducks in a row. Yeah. I prefer to be nice to animals, so I just get my ducks in a row. You just bounced a dead cat off a.
I'm always skinning cats,
and you skinned a cat in the podcast before, and I'm merely just lining my ducks up in a row. So it just means that you've put your ducks in a row. The less paperwork that you receive,
and that's, I think, the other part of this, I guess, as well, is that this isn't to say that if your financial advisor's not doing anything, that means they're doing a good job. Because there is a component of that where you have to actually know that there is a strategy in place, and that your advisor is doing everything that is required. And that's a big part of, we're reviewing all of our client situation every 6 months. We're having those meetings. We're making sure that we know what are their goals and now and in the future, so that we're lining everything up to meet all those goals. It's not to say that nothing is what you want to try and do. It's just to say that planning should be happening consistently and regularly and being tweaked over time, not a sudden mad dash when either you get a tax bill or you reach retirement and you're trying to tuck money away to minimise tax or to get more age pension, or, shouldn't be a mad panic when, company prices drop or go up dramatically. That should all be built into the plan. That should all be planned for, and it should all be just sort of seamless as it goes along over time.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Money Over 50 podcast with Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. We look forward to catching up again soon.